And good evening, you're listening to the Modern Mystic radio show on A1R Psychic Radio, the world's #1 psychic radio network, and we're also on Moonstruck TV. I'm your host, Saira. I've been working as a psychic for over 27 years professionally, psychic since childhood. But tonight I am not on my own. I have a very, very special guest with me tonight. Her name is Litz Bruja. I'm just going to introduce her straight away. Litz, are you there?
Hi Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Very, very excited about it. So please, Litz, tell me a little bit about your history, in terms of how you got into the psychic world. It
was in me really. I thought everybody knew stuff. As a kid, I thought everyone could see colours, could see spirit shapes, spirit forms, spirit energy, and I thought everyone knew things. Kind of like if someone's wearing a green jacket, you don't say, "Hey, do you realise you're wearing a green jacket?" Because they know they are. I just assumed, and it was only when I went to school and realised that wasn't the case at all, and kind of got branded as a bit of a weirdo for saying and doing stuff that other kids couldn't quite relate to, that I realised that I was different and probably a tad odd.
Okay. So when did you start realising that actually you could use that gift to help other people?
Oh my gosh, not until probably my mid to late teens, I think. It kind of didn't start as readings. It came across as people, much older people, asking me. People would stop me. I didn't drive until I was 19, I think. So I'd be standing at a bus stop when I was like 16 or 17, and people would just start speaking to me. People would talk to me in queues in shops, if I was standing in line. People just gravitated to me and spoke to me. And I found that if I was sat on a train for a long journey, people would start pouring their heart out to me completely. Spontaneously, and I would be saying stuff, and they'd get off, or the bus would come or whatever it was, and they'd say, "Oh, you've helped me so much. Thank you for making me see something that way, or enabling me to look at something differently." And I just thought, "Oh, well, that's nice, And it was a number of years before I actually realised that what I was doing was tuning to spirit energy and actually giving them a reading.
Oh, wow. So when did you actually start? How long have you been working as a psychic?
Oh, my gosh, about 34, 35 years.
Wow.
I've been since I started to really kind of take on board what I was doing. But that was very ad hoc. It wasn't a regular thing. I didn't want to do it regularly. It wasn't something, because it was in my family, and my mother was kind of a little bit emotionally scarred because of my grandmother would be what today you would call a witch. So my mother was emotionally scarred over a lot of the things that had gone on within that time frame. So when I started to display tendencies, if you like, she was very quick to kind of slam it down. Don't do that, and don't say that, and don't talk about deja vu, and don't say you've been here before, and don't tell people you can see things, and don't talk about colour around people. So it was all kind of very suppressed. It wasn't something I readily kind of got out and used as a party trick. I suppose, to an extent I started to realise I was helping people, which was a nice thing. But then again, I felt I used cards and tea leaves and anything I could lay my hands on as a cover, because again, kind of going back to what my mum had drummed into me, I didn't want it to be seen to be me doing it. So I made out I was reading the cards, and I made out I was reading the tea leaves, and it wasn't me. It was coming from sort of another source, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. So how do you work now? Do you still work with the cards, or is it just straight from your intuition? How does it work for you?
I get I call them visions. It's because it literally, I shut my eyes when I read, and I kind of sometimes I'll see like a movie running, I see, images of people doing things. When I speak to a client, I will get an energetic image of what I see for that, to be that representation of that client. And I do a lot of relationship readings because we all fall in love and we all get hurt.
Yeah.
It's a huge part, as you know, of a clairvoyant's job to help out. And so I tend to see things in my head, and I can connect to the energy of the other person. And even if there's a third or fourth, or fourth person involved, I kind of work with the energy, but in my head. I can read cards, but if anything now, they tend to hamper me because I want to go, the card's a little bit too static for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of it is sort of like done sort of clairvoyantly throughout your third eye, and obviously you know how to interpret, what you see, in that sense. So do you actually remember your first ever psychic experience?
Oh my gosh, I've had them I don't remember not having them, put it that way. I've had some crazy things happen to me even as a child, just having completely crazy, outlandish experiences and just thinking that they were normal. It just wasn't something that I kind of actively collected because it was just part of my life. It was part of my everyday existence. I don't ever remember feeling alone, and I don't ever remember not knowing stuff and not feeling that I had support, invisible support, albeit, but nonetheless support around me.
But do you have perhaps a most memorable experience? Maybe not from the childhood, but maybe from your clients.
I guess the most, sometimes mediumship I've done has been really touching for people, and I always consider that. I don't take it for granted. Mediumship, I think, is such a special thing that when that happens, I just think it's something to really kind of honour. I can give you one experience of that if you want.
Oh, yes, please.
I had a lady come to my house many years ago. I used to do face-to-face readings, and I had a lady come, and she had a shopping bag with her. I hadn't really paid much attention to it, and she put it down beside her feet. Mm-hmm. And I was reading, and however long it was, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever it was, and we had all sorts of people: her dad, her father-in-law, her neighbour, her uncle, the next door neighbour's cat. Everybody came through. And then I said to her, it's not this is not who you come for, is it? And she said, no, not really. And I said, do you have anything belonging to the person, a connecting object, that would be really, really useful? And she said, actually, I do. And as she bent down to take something out of the carrier bag that was at her feet, I could see a child in communion dress standing behind her. And it was her 11-year-old daughter that she wanted me to connect with. And she took out of the bag the flowers that the child was holding that I could see behind her, and she gave them to me. So then we had and it was a nice thing. It wasn't difficult for her because, in terms of it wasn't the first time the child had come through. She just wanted a reconnection with her. I think the girl had been in spirit for about 20 years at the time. So it was a really nice thing to be able to do that, to be able to just, confirm that she was there. She was almost like waiting for her mum's permission kind of thing.
Oh, that's amazing. I always find mediumship absolutely amazing. It's always so, how can it be unexpected, and, you never quite know exactly what's going to come through. But when you get something that special, it's quite touching, isn't it?
Yes, very much so. I've, as I say, I feel quite privileged. I tend to work mostly with predictions, mostly with love, mostly with relationships. And I've kind of, in the last few years, I had a very close personal bereavement myself a few years ago. And it's kind of changed my take on mediumship, because now I don't like to do it to order. I won't see clients or speak to clients now that just specifically want mediumship, because I feel if there's just too much pressure on yourself and on spirit to make that happen, I think it should be a much more organic thing. And often I feel it works better that way too.
Absolutely. So what do you feel the role is of a modern day psychic now?
I think it's to empower, Sarah. I think it's to empower. I wouldn't say I am actually a spiritualist, but the principles of spiritualism do still sit with me, and the main one that does is personal responsibility. And I think we should all really consider ourselves responsible for, decisions we make, choices that we take. Sometimes it's very easy to pass the baton and say to someone else, point in their direction and say, no, they made me do it. They were the reason I did it. It was her fault I left my wife, or his fault I left my husband, or whatever the situation is. I think we have to take ownership, supposed to be becoming a people that are more knowledgeable and empowered anyway. That's how society is going. So why can't we be responsible for our own emotional decisions? Why does that always have to fall on someone else's shoulders?
Absolutely, and quite often that will actually fall onto the psychic's shoulders as well, in terms of, yes, we're here to kind of to give the guidance and the insight, but it's still down to the individual to take the action, isn't it?
I totally agree. I think what we can do is we can put signposts in the road, and I often say to my clients, if you choose to take that course of action, I believe that is the outcome. However, if you choose that course of action, that is the subsequent outcome, I believe. So you kind of have to, yes, I understand as a clairvoyant it's our job to illuminate the path, but it is not our job to take the client's hand and lead them down it. They have to make that choice themselves.
Absolutely. And, also, what I do find is, say, for instance, somebody's been very lonely for a long time, they're looking for that other person, there's the element of providing that opportunity. There's no point sort of sitting at home just waiting for that person to knock on the door, Mr. or Miss Right to knock on the door. You've got to be out there and, take some action to actually provide the universe with delivering that to you.
Definitely, yes, of course. I mean, you've got to, all the variables have to be in place. We aren't magicians, sadly.
Yeah.
We do have magic wands. They don't quite work in that way. You can't physically manifest somebody, you can just, as I say, coach, encourage, empower, and, help people to put themselves back together, because often in relationships, even within the family unit, parental relationships can have been incredibly destructive. So, also I believe part of our job is to encourage the client to bring themselves back together, and if necessary to seek outside help, therapy, self-help, anything that you can get to restore yourself. Because at the end of the day, if we do it on our own, it's so much more powerful than if someone else does it for us.
Oh, absolutely. And it's part of our journey, isn't it? We're here to learn. So, why take ourselves out of that whole cycle? It's what we're here to do. Right. Now, talking about that, we have our first caller. This is Kathy from St. Louis in Missouri. Hi, Kathy, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Kathy. Now, I'm going to hand you straight over to Litz, who's going to do you a quick reading. Do you have a question for Litz at all?
I do. I actually had an experience that I'm very curious about. I guess I need it explained in some way.
Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. How can I help you?
A couple of days ago, I had this experience, and I just need clarification on, anything about it, really. I've never had anything happen to me like this. And what it was, I was just coming down the back steps. I was going to sit down on them, just sit outside. And the only word I can describe what happened is I kind of swooned. And as I did, I sat down. And when I sat down, I felt this friend's presence so strongly next to me and so overwhelming that I actually looked to my left to look for him. And of course he wasn't there, but the sensation lasted like 10 seconds. And for the rest of the night, until I was able to get a hold of him, I just had this real jittery type feeling. And I don't understand. I don't understand it.
Okay. Have you ever heard of such a thing as a bilocation, Kathy?
No.
Okay, so what can sometimes happen energetically, we can actually be in two places at once. We can, if, you know, the need was, say, to be close to you for some reason, maybe you were feeling a little down, maybe you were dwelling on something, maybe you were even thinking on a subconscious level about this friend, or vice versa. The friend can, you know, make their presence known on what's called a bilocation. So sometimes it freaks folk out and they're like, oh my God, something awful's happened, you know, my friend's had an accident, they passed away, whatever, and they'll telephone and the friend will be like, no, I'm fine, there's no problem here. So I think it's just really on, you were for some reason, I kind of call them almost like time slips. If you can imagine, we're here and we're going about and we're eating our sandwiches and drinking our coffee and whatever. So we're very grounded in the real world. Very occasionally, we will slip into that space where we can make an energetic connection with someone else, with their energy, on a real kind of thought form level. And I feel that that's what was happening with your friend and you, probably not consciously at all. It was just a case of you're on the astral plane, if you like. You were just connecting for that split second.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a great thing. I think it's a wonderful thing when it happens, because it just shows that in actual fact we are all very connected all of the time. It's just a case of being in the right, you know, it's like a radio, you know, tuning it into the right frequency in order to pick that up, which is sometimes why if you see mediumship ever done, mediumship is not a constant stream of conversation. Mediumship does dip in and out for that very reason, because as human beings, we're encumbered by our physical body. So therefore, we can't always have that lightness and we can't always have that ability to connect to such a high vibration. We come in and out of it. And that's the kind of thing that was happening there with your friend and yourself. And you also may find that there are other similar experiences that you start to have. You know, this could be the beginning of a fantastic journey for you, Kathy.
Well, I have had a lot of different experiences, I guess. One of my friends, she has another opinion, but I just don't know if I agree with it. But that's just because I don't see that in myself, I guess.
Sure.
But I have to say that I was having difficulty because there was something I needed to tell this friend, but I was scared because of what I had been through in the past. And this experience, I guess you could say, give me the kick in the butt to say what I needed to say.
Fantastic. Brilliant. That's great. So it worked really well for you. I kind of think embrace intuition. Some people are so scared of their intuition because you can't touch it, taste it, you know, smell it, see it kind of thing. But I think embrace your intuition. I don't think you can ever go far wrong with it.
Oh, I agree. I'm just not sure how to do it.
In terms of developing, crikey, it's a journey, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people I find rush development, and it just isn't something you can rush. I would say to you, read as much as you can. Listen to as many I mean, YouTube now, I guess when Sarah was developing, and certainly when I was, there was no such thing as YouTube or any kind of resources like that. But, you know, make the most of that. Look for articles on mediumship. Look for, you know, and if you can go anywhere where you see mediums developing, and just absorb, be a total sponge, Kathy, and absorb as much as you can. And then just take what sits with you. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you read. Whatever resonates with you is what's right for you, and that will take you on the path that you're supposed to be on.
Great. Okay, thank you. I can do that.
Thank you so much, Kathy. We're going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you for coming on. We're going to go straight on to our next call. This is Jessica from Arizona. Hi, Jessica. Are you there?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you straight over to Litz. We've only got a few minutes left of the show, but do you have a question for Litz?
Yeah, I wanted a reading on myself.
Hi, Jessica. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine.
Good. Is it a specific area of your life that you wanted a reading on?
My life is like toward the future.
Okay, sure. Let me just pick up on you and see what I get with you. Okay, so I have a feeling here when I link to you that I'm going to go kind of straight in on an emotional level with a relationship here. I feel that I can hear and see a door being slammed like in your face at your feet. You're looking at the door is closed, and you're looking for a handle on the door. You're looking for a way to get back into that room, as it were, get back into that space that you were with someone else, where you were in a situation that you could understand, where you could communicate, but probably not particularly well, but certainly you were able to communicate with an individual. And now suddenly this has been, you kind of feel that you've been shut out in the cold. You're looking for a way to circumnavigate, to get back in, as it were. I kind of think that this is a process that you are kind of going to have to tread real careful with, and I think it's a place that you've been before. I don't think this is the first time you've been here. I'm going to go maybe around like the 1st of October. I want to have also somebody making phone calls to you and maybe like hanging up when you speak, because this is a person that isn't very good with communication. This is a person that struggles to really get out what they want to say. So I think, as much as you're probably going to want to scream at me when I say this, patience is required in this particular situation. But I can see a big red circle around the 1st of October, and also then like a green tick on the 10th. So you haven't got terribly long to wait before this situation changes. We're going to go like to the end of next week to see then the following 10 days after that, I think there's a better outcome. And I know that there's a lot of insecurity. I can feel it in your energy. And I can also feel that you're quite flat about this. I feel that it's been a situation that has not taken you to a place that you wanted to be. Maybe there's been a few false starts and it's affected your confidence. But I kind of think, going back to what I was saying before, you have the option to change this from around the 4th. So you've got a tiny window there between the 1st and the 4th where you can make a decision, and then the 10th is like D-Day, if you like.
Okay. That sounds pretty accurate.
Thank you.
I had another reading I was trying to get past, like, because with my grandfather, I don't know if you can sense him around me. 'Cause he passed away recently.
Okay. Would your grandfather link at all to kind of like the holiday season? So somewhere between November, December. Is there a relevant birthday or anniversary around that time for him?
Yes.
Thank you. I think with him, he's putting down huge steps for you to get up on, and he's wanting you. Okay, thank you. He's wanting you to see the bigger picture. So he's kind of trying to show you, if you watch a set, like if you watch a live TV show and you're looking down from the audience and you can see a set. So if you can imagine being able to peer over one of the walls on the set and actually see what's going on. He's telling me that you have had a hampered view of things, and perhaps also you've had some interference, because I can hear whispering in your ear. So he wants to get rid of that, and he wants to help you get up and see the bigger picture. And also he says to you that you are the bigger person, Jessica. I probably haven't got time to go into that, but he wants to just stand there and hold your hand and say, look, you're not going to fall. You can. This is a decision that you can make, and you don't need anyone else. You don't need to rely on the person that has probably been feeding you false information.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jessica. I hope you found that useful. We're going to let you go. It's nearly the end of our show, so thank you so much for coming on. And thank you, Litz. That's absolutely amazing. Just quickly, if people want to get hold of you, can they do that?
Yeah, my website is litzbutcher.co.uk, litzbutcher.co.uk.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. And what are your plans very quickly? Are you planning to do a lot more work here, abroad? Is there anything exciting coming up?
I do. I'm fortunate enough that I have a son that lives out in the States, so I come out from time to time, which is exciting. He lives out on the West Coast. I'm moving a lot more into coaching, much more into life coaching now, which I'm really, really enjoying.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, I'm just going to leave it there. We've got only about 1 minute left of the show, so thank you so much, Litz.
Thank you very much for having me. Really. And Kathy and Jessica, thanks so much for the calls.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for the callers. Hope you enjoyed listening. We're back same time next week. If you do want to get hold of me, my website is www.modern-mystic.co.uk. Also on Facebook under Mystic Saira, and also Modern Mystic, where I do a free Facebook live session once a week. If you want to get hold of me and join into that, you're more than welcome. And stay tuned for some wonderful shows coming up. I think the next one is Sheila Kay, Sensitive Soul Radio. Have a great week ahead. See you next week.